they're enjoying the show. So thank you very much. The very least I could ask for is him covering it, and he does a great job. I'm so blessed to have him here. So I can't tell you how happy I am that he's able to fill in for us. Brett, I don't know if you're aware, I was down in the beautiful state of South Carolina again.
Yes.
As you will notice over the next few days, my T-shirt collection. And by the way, we've got a new camera. When did this happen?
During the break?
I thought I had glaucoma. I kept trying to watch the old camera. I'm like, what's wrong with my eyes? I'm getting old.
Oh, when that thing kept getting blurry. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, when the camera kept getting blurry. I think it was just the camera saying, "Oh, cripes, no. We don't. Do we have to do? No, can we just not broadcast him anymore? It's oh gosh, he is an ugly creature." We do have a new thing here. Let me are we broadcasting on it now?
Yeah, I'll send it to your page in a second.
Okay.
We're on the 950 page right now.
Oh, we're on the 9. Well, good to have it there. So you can see me now closer, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing. But that is a stark image. Yikes. Good to be back. Hi there. So this is like in romantic mode. Hi there. You and I are having dinner tonight.
Well, the thing is, Matt, we're going to get a second one of those cameras for the other side. So now we can switch to whatever side is your good side.
Put one, considering how bad the camera was that was up in the corner. I mean, you literally could not. The only place you could have put that was a worse angle in this studio is right between my legs. I mean, seriously. If you want to put... We can go to crotch cam anytime you want. I don't want to do that. I'm huge. Hey, what's this about a sinkhole on Girard Avenue? Are they leasing, or is it an option to buy on that? You got to get into Uptown somehow, my friend.
That's a tight real estate.
Oh, it is, man. I'll take the sinkhole. As Rachel Joyce over at the Walker said, with beautiful scenic views of Lake Chipotle.
That's a very good selling point.
That is, isn't it? New construction. So this is apparently we've had 2 sinkholes. I leave for a little bit, and it's always nice to have sinkholes on the Easter week. That doesn't make you think you've done something wrong. Have they filled that hole, or is there just a bunch of guys sitting going, that's getting deeper? Have they fixed the hole problem in Uptown?
I hope they have. Yeah.
I think that's something you need to consult with your doctor about. Hopefully so. When did this happen? What day did this happen? When did the sinkhole open up?
I forgot actually which day last. I want to say maybe Thursday. I thought I saw it.
Was Rudy Gobert down there? Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to do it. Was he anywhere in the vicinity? I just want to let you know, the darn street. Something like that. Welcome to Minneapolis.
On a side note, is there a more embarrassing story since the Love Boat scandal for the sports team?
No, you're taking us. Well, we'll get to him. We'll get to him here in the second hour. I'll touch on him. Well, I won't, because apparently he comes out swinging. But I'll talk. Maybe I don't want to do that either. He's sitting at home. Does he have that French channel from Comcast Xfinity? Does he sit and watch that all day? Freeway. That's I think their educational programming. I've been to France. They're liberal on some fronts. So have we filled in let's get back to the main thing here. Are there cars plunging to their death right now on Girard Avenue in Minneapolis, or did they fill it in?
I'm not sure yet, but I think they did bring a giant crane out.
Oh, did they put that heavy duty security tape around it? Oh, thank God for that. Oh, nothing bad will happen. Apparently I saw a picture. Apparently a bunch of the locals are using it as a rock climbing feature now. That's great. Okay. Welcome, Minneapolis. They're climbing up and down in the sinkhole of Minneapolis. What could possibly go wrong? Here's the great part is at some point in history, you'll make a fantastic article for the Minnesota Historical Society magazine when they say body found buried under Girard Avenue. We think it was Lucas, who was a big fan of rock climbing and couldn't help himself when the sinkhole opened up and disappeared 150 years ago. Lucas, stop it. Back from the South. I got a lot of things I got to talk about. I got a lot of, oh, do I have a lot of things I got to talk about. Starting off with, I want to just, can I just say one quick side note? And I meant to post this a little bit earlier because when I first took the flight down, Sun Country, I took Sun Country down to Jacksonville, and driving from Jacksonville up to Beaufort, South Carolina is only like 2 hours because you just got to, Jacksonville's right there on the border with Georgia. So you just got to go across southern Georgia right on 95 and right up to past Savannah, and right there, that's where I was at. So slick deal. I can't tell you how happy I am. We have two functioning, incompetent airlines servicing this town. Sun Country and Delta. Well, Delta, I shouldn't competent. We have two airlines servicing this town. All right. Sun Country, nice job. If you are looking for a flight and they're going, I'm going to almost guarantee it's probably going to be cheaper than going the other way. I'll just say it like that. I thought it was a great flight. Good people. Enjoyed that. Thank you, Sun Country. Got down there, I left here at 29 degrees. 29 degrees. Got down there, it was 76. It was just lovely. Just, drove up the coast. Got to South Carolina. The first full day I was there, I went up to where I'm wearing the shirt now, Congaree State Park. Have you ever heard of Congaree?
I have not,
That state park, national park. It's a national park. Congaree. It's the only one in South Carolina. It's got a heck of a story. At one point, there were all these kind of bog wetlands bayous that existed by these rivers in South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way down towards Louisiana, even into Texas. And they had these massive, trees in them. And most of them were logged off and drained off for farmland. This one in South Carolina is okay. So apparently in 1910 or so, and forgive me, I'm probably getting some of the history wrong. In 1910 or so, some guy bought this stretch to log it. He sent his first tree down the river, but it was so water soaked it sank. So he abandoned his conquest of the land and basically let it stand. And apparently, sometime in the late 50s, early 60s, someone else wanted to develop it, and a local newspaper guy down there said, "You don't understand. There used to be, in South Carolina alone, millions of acres of this bayou. There was 12,000 acres left, and 11,000 acres of it are at Congaree National Park. So you are literally, they've got a 2.5-mile boardwalk in there where you get to walk through the bayou of South Carolina. It's fantastic. It's just south of Columbia. Lizards, lots of lizards. Not bad lizards, not like I'm going to eat you lizard, but kind of cute little guys that you would see some weird kid have as a pet. Those kind of lizards. I say that as my daughter has one. I love you. But lots of lizards, snakes, not on the boardwalk. The boardwalk kind of keeps you safe from that. Turtles, all these things, birds, amazing, just really cool. And just the perfect level of green that I needed to have just after this godforsaken winter we had here, where it just could not stop snowing and just, ugh. Because I'll tell you what, the Saturday before I left last Monday, a week ago yesterday. That Saturday beforehand was the morning after that blizzard came through. And it just was like, if that wasn't enough for me to say, the heck with this, I want out of here for a while. That was it. And I got out of here, and it was just lovely. Warm, bayous, they as advertised, they are a paltry little destination. You better bring a shirt that doesn't show the sweat stain so much. I'm having to edit those down dramatically as I go through that one looks like I just came out of the sauna. So let me just fix that. That one, I've got a lizard on me. Fix that. I did. It was interesting to go through to that park, because to get to that park, you really have to go into small town South Carolina, and to see empty businesses after empty businesses and, Trump signs and Trump flags and just not exactly the the top of the line living experience you could possibly have down there by any means. It it really is kind of shocking, and to a point, I the mentality of the South. I can't tell you as I walk through this park, and I really do recommend trying out go get Congaree National Park. Go see it, just to go see it. I mean, you should see all the national parks. Although, once again, same thing I said last year. Why there isn't a Native American ambassador at every one of those national parks for every hour you are open to explain the history of the Native Americans who, let's just face it, were much better at living on this land than we'll ever be. Why you do not have a Native American interpreter or ambassador or however you want to call it at every one of our national parks to talk about the Native American experience before Whitey got here, I don't know. That would it only adds to the richness of the history and gives people an appreciation. And I think the National Park Service is doing a huge disservice to the Native American peoples to not have, interpreters there on sites at these national parks to talk about how they lived off the land and everything. But it really, as I was walking in this park and I was looking at these trees and these gorgeous, huge trees of this bayou, it is a real mystery that it wasn't wiped out. It wasn't torn down. Because in the South, they still have an older mentality towards the land in regards to what you do with it. I mean, we here are trying to, and I think a lot of places tried after the Great Depression to, especially the Dust Bowl days, to try to realize we can't just, burn off the land or else we're going to have big problems. But to see a place there where it always was the cheapest way they could do it, the quickest way they could do it, the fastest way they could do it. How can I get money? Just tear down those trees, sell the trees, drain off the land, then sell off the land for farmers. And then next thing you know, you're the little king of your town, much like this Murtaugh guy. You saw that guy, the celebrity trial of that dude, the lawyer who killed He was right by Beaufort. That's all anyone wanted to talk about down there. The boat where he had the boat crash and everything, that came out from Beaufort Harbor. I mean, everyone, everywhere you go. Did you hear about the trial? I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, man. It gave Minnesota a run for its money. It really did. It's like, Mary Tyler Moore was, we have a statue for her. It's like, okay. I get it. All right. There was a blizzard in 1991. You're not going to believe this. It was in Halloween. Really? They were giving you a run for the money. I guess maybe I should be happy about that. When we talk about our state, it's about a blizzard. It's not about the guy that ran his town like a cliched Southern character who basically, I'm the person in charge. I'm the person who does this. I'm the person here. Well, my grandpapa founded this town and I'm here too. That sort of thing. To see a guy like that tumble down the hill, it's kind of entertaining. I will say this. I did find it interesting. They could not give him the death penalty because they said that because he was a white guy in the South, they would not have gotten conviction if the death penalty was on the table. Tells you a lot about things down there. So does what happened in Nashville. But I want to take some time because going out there and appreciating Congaree National Park, and then driving to it and getting to see a lot of the rural countryside. Once you got off the interstate and you got to see the rural countryside of what you're going through, it leads me to ask a question of the Republicans out there. What the hell are you guys doing? Seriously, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? I'll get back to that here in a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Tom. Going solar is a great way to save on energy costs. By using the sun to power your house, you can feel good about an investment that will last for years. All Energy Solar is a locally trusted turnkey solar installer that's been around since 2009. They provide custom designs and quality installations of solar panel systems that work for your energy needs. One of the best parts about going solar is it's an investment that can pay for itself. Your system can pay back 100% of the installation cost in as little as 8 years. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar can pay back over 300% of its cost over its lifetime. There's also many tax incentives and rebates available, and the experts at All Energy Solar can walk you through the entire process to make sure you're saving as much as possible. So go green, both financially and environmentally, with All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Many car dealers will quote safety stats, but firsthand experience really tells the story. When I bought my 2017 Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, the service manager told me it was one of their safest vehicles ever made. Then I saw it for myself. A car hit me at 35 miles per hour, and the Sienna saved me. Its design absorbed the collision, and although it took a wallop, I walked away, and I now have a 2022 Sienna. When it comes to safety, I personally vouch for Toyotas. Be safe and get one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing cool weather crops you can put in your garden, as well as garden mistakes to avoid. Our guest is author Kathy Jintz, and will answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Thank you very much to Todd Kola sponsoring us this week on AM 950. Actually, this weekend, I'm going to take him into next week as well. Todd, of course, Minnesotan. I'm sure he can recall that 91, that blizzard. Did you hear about that? Happened on Halloween around 1991.
It was a blizzard or rainstorm?
It was a blizzard. It was Halloween. Kids getting ready to trick or treat. It was a blizzard. Anywho, he basically, I think because of the fact that people won't let that go, ran to Spain and basically lives out there. He wants to help sponsor the station. We're very grateful for him to do that. He does. You can find out how, if you would like to find out how you can sponsor the station as well, 952-946-8885, 952-946-8885. And of course, he is a big supporter of Lifeline Ukraine, as I am. Lifeline Ukraine is offering mental health and suicide prevention services for the people of Ukraine as they go through this conflict that is happening right now with the Russians invading their country and just committing horrible atrocities against the Ukrainians. It is disgusting. It is disturbing. And as you can imagine, the mental health issues that are arising from this case are extreme. Lifeline Ukraine is there. They are holding on while their country is under siege, helping the people of Ukraine, not only the people who are there, but as well people who have left, who are stressed out and worried, wondering about their town, or see their town leveled to ruins. They are there to help with mental health services, suicide prevention. Lifeline Ukraine. I'll put a link out to it later on tonight. Make a donation if you can. These are the kind of services they desperately do need as they continue to deal with the horrific nature of what has been going on in Ukraine caused by the Russians. So, Republicans are interesting. Republicans have created a narrative of never having to deliver on anything, and in turn convincing people that you might not be happy with me, but thank God you're not. The Democrats are in control. Can you imagine how bad your lives would be for this? And this is a narrative that they have very successfully planted within red states, and to their own demise. really, to their own problems. The states, some of these states, it's not really been since 1980 and the Reagan Revolution that these states have been under Republican control. Many states had, they might have been under control a little bit here, a little bit there, but a Democratic governor or the Democratic Senate or a Democratic House, depending on the situation, came into light in that time. And so it broke it up. But there are plenty of states right now where the Republicans have been in charge for an extensive period of time. Georgia, the Republicans have been in complete control of that state since 2005. 2005, Georgia. South Carolina and Texas, both of those states have been under exclusive Republican control since 2003. Florida, people think of Florida as a toss-up state. Florida hasn't been a toss-up state for years. Florida has been under complete Republican control since 1999. Nebraska as well, 1999. Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, those states since 1995. You're on to 28 years. 28 years of Republicans being in charge. Republicans saying, you keep electing us, things are going to be so much better. And yet they don't get better. And I know, especially you look at the guys that have been under control of the Republican Party since the 1990s, they'll try to sit there as like, well, the federal government. No. There have been multiple times since 2000 where the Republicans have been in complete control of the U.S. government. There have been multiple times that the Republicans have been in charge of the federal government. So the federal government in that time was controlled by Republicans, and your state government was controlled by Republicans. And yet you still are not a billionaire like they promised you you're going to be. They're not, you're not, nothing gets better at all. As a matter of fact, for the vast majority of you, things are far worse. I was going through a town called St. Matthews in South Carolina, and it had a cute little bit of charm to it. You could tell it was at one point a little railroad town there in central South Carolina. A lot of empty businesses. Definitely past its heyday. But I mean, I kept looking around, and you see the Trump flags, and you see this stuff that's out there. And by the way, one of the things I will say is when you go to Beaufort, which is really interesting, you don't see the Trump flags. You don't see the Confederate flag. You don't. Because Beaufort was never part really of the Civil War. After Fort Sumter fell, the North basically went into Beaufort Harbor and took it over. And that was the end of the Civil War for them, right at the beginning. And so there is no connection to the Civil War in that town. There's a lot of Marine Corps guys because Parris Island is right down the street. Parris Island is right there. And then, of course, they got that very pretty South Carolina flag. If you're thinking of replacing the Minnesota flag, take a look at that one. That one's actually a master's class in how to make a pretty flag. And so you have those two flags, but you don't see too much of it. But when you get out into the country, especially in rural South Carolina, that changes. And that changes dramatically. And yet you look around and you see the despair. You see probably the dwindling population as people leave and go into the larger cities. You see, and these are areas that are very much Republican. These are Republican strongholds. It's not like these are, some days the Democrat wins there. No. These have been held by Republicans. Local offices, state offices, at times even the federal offices, all controlled by the Republican Party. And yet, after 20, 25 years, 28 years in some cases, as their lives are not better, at no point does it cross their mind that maybe, just maybe, the Republicans are lying to them. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a break. Come on back, because part of this, I think, is the fault of Democrats and their bad messaging. But the reality is this is what you get when you brainwash a community. You brainwash a people into thinking that basically the crap sandwiches they're eating are filet mignon. Because it's not because they're not eating crap sandwiches. It's just they're convinced that the sandwich they would get if the other side was in charge would be worse. Even though there is now starting to become stunning levels of evidence that the Democrats are really the way you should go. If you want a better quality of life, you need to be voting DFL. You need to be voting Democrat. I'll talk more about that when I do come back. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hey, Twin Cities, are you trying to move your side hustle to your main hustle? Having trouble leveling up your back office? Getting stuck on where and how to get money to grow your business? Then you don't want to miss Connect Up Summit, Friday and Saturday, April 14th and 15th at Walder Foundation in St. Paul. Connect Up is a 2-day summit offering hands-on workshops and connecting small businesses with each other, local investors, as well as local and national resources to grow your business. You'll get to meet more people in the small business ecosystem in 2 days than would take you 2 years to meet on your own. Connect Up sells out every year, so get your tickets today. Go to connectupmn.org. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn to get the latest updates. Again, that's Friday and Saturday, April 14th and 15th at the Walder Foundation in St. Paul. That's connectupmn.org. Connectupmn.org.
Get ready for a springtime adventure like no other. The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl. This iconic event spans over 4 weekends from April 14th to May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl features over 200 talented artists across 10 unique art districts in St. Paul. This year's Art Crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever before, with even more artists showcasing their incredible work. Explore the city's vibrant neighborhoods and let your creativity run wild as you discover the unique visions of each artist. Immerse yourself in a world of art and culture that is sure to inspire and amaze. Not only will you have the opportunity to witness some of the most incredible art the Twin Cities has to offer, but you can also help ensure the best experience for both artists and visitors by making a donation. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's 4 unforgettable weekends spanning April 14th through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblatt Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblattfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 81, tonight clear with a low around 61, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 83. Create unforgettable meals that are sure to impress with vinaigrette. From extra virgin olive oils to balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils to white balsamic vinegars and wine vinegars, vinaigrette has it all. Independently owned since 2009, find vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com.
Say you miss me, say you wanna kiss me. I liked it better when you improvise a story we had.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show, back after a little vacation. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. The Republicans in some states have been in charge for well over 2 decades now. And it is remarkable to me. I mean, let me step back for a second. I want you to take a look at how quickly things went south in Wisconsin. How quickly, 2010, because a bunch of people didn't show up to vote. I know, funny story. A lot of people decided they were going to sit out the 2010 election because Democrats themselves, especially the moderate Democrats, during the election season of 2010 kept screaming, "We're so sorry. We tried to give health care to everybody. We were so wrong." And then the day after the election, A lot of those same Democrats were saying, a lot of people like that healthcare plan. Why didn't we campaign on that more? Same exact damn people. God, let's reload so we can shoot ourselves in the foot more often. That sort of thing. Dear Lord. Wisconsin shows you there is a game plan that Republicans, the second they get a toehold of power, they will do everything that they can to hold on to it. And take a look at it. And even when they lost the governor's office in that state, what was the first thing the Republicans did? Ran out there and gutted the power of the governor's office and basically routed the power through them in the House and the Assembly and the Senate there. Take a look down at Iowa. Take a look at Iowa. Iowa, they basically have annihilated their public school system. They are about to, and I guarantee it. I mean, just like Tim Pawlenty comes on out and talks about all the good he did when he basically stopped funding the schools in Minnesota, which he didn't. It actually did a tremendous amount of damage to the school system. Funny story, Republicans, you should look at that. That's actually where things went south, quite literally. She basically, and lied and basically lied. This was basically a handout to small corporate schools, to small private schools, to corporate America, right-wing groups to basically destroy the schools, and their schools are going to get destroyed. And the problem is that, even if you all of a sudden tomorrow had a massive amount of Democrats in charge of Iowa, which you won't, they've done this in a way where it makes it almost impossible for them to undo it. And because the Republicans have a game plan. In Minnesota right now, what are they doing? Dear God, the Republicans are the most extremist Democrats ever. Seriously, you guys are pathetic. And for all you House and Senate Republicans trying to get my attention, I guess trying to get me into a verbal fight, I'm not going to. For God's sakes, first of all, why are you doing this with me? I am just a radio host. My job is to lob bombs and make insults and crack jokes. I crack a lot of jokes. You basically taking your time as either a House rep or a senator to try to get into a Twitter war with me is pathetic beyond pathetic and shows me you really shouldn't be in St. Paul. You shouldn't be. You should be sitting in your mom's basement. Well, maybe you already are, but you should be sitting in your mom's basement saying, Mom, I need some more your toaster strudels because I got a zinger I got to send to McNeil. No, I'm not going to play your game. You can sit and come after me all day long. I could care less. You're beneath me. Seriously, if you are a House rep or a senator and you're trying to get into a Twitter war with me, you are so clearly beneath me. It's not worth my time. So, ta-da! I won't respond because you're not worth my time. That being said, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put out this is the most extreme thing ever. All abortions that happen at the very last second. Every child's going to be transgendered. You can't have a car. You can't have a stove. You can't have a phone. None of it. Look at extremism, how they're doing it. That's your standard Minnesota Republican today, isn't it? And by the way, if it's funny, because, hey, Lazaro, you wanted them to get quiet really quick. Nothing puckers their old tuckuses faster than saying Lazaro. They can't squeegee away fast enough. But that's them. And the reason why is they've got to trick you. They've got to trick you into voting for them, to thinking that they're somehow moderate, so that when they get into power, that basically they can do exactly what they did in Wisconsin and exactly what they did in Iowa, which is basically derail those states. And they do it efficiently and quickly. It is disturbing how much they take away from the people of that state to give a handful of wealthy people everything at the expense of you, while they serve you that crap sandwich and you keep saying, it's delicious, give me another one. It is disturbing. When you look at, but Iowa is relatively recent to this far right purge, and Wisconsin is starting to come back, although we're now waiting for the inevitable, trial, cases to get to the Wisconsin Supreme Court so they can undo a lot of the damage that the Assembly and the Senate have done. By the way, the first thing I would do is order them to hand over all documents of all communications, period, with everybody there. Tell them they have to keep track of everything. But when you look at this timeline, when you look at this has been 25, 28 years of complete Republican control, you would say to yourself, well, then we've got basically the proof that they need. That Republican states are far better than Democratic states. And nothing could be further from the truth. And the further we go down this rabbit hole, the further we go down this insanity right-wing pledge, the more obscene the differences between Democratic states and Republican states are. And it's not universal. There are sometimes a Republican state will do better in one poll or something like this, or a Democratic state will do worse. When you look at things on the county level, sometimes there are very specific counties which are really bad within a community that basically pull down the rest of a state, or sometimes there's like one or two that pull up a state. But overall, pick the category. Quality of education. Democratic states are far better than Republican states in quality of public education. Amount of people that have a college degree. It's overwhelming. And by the way, a quick little side note here. It doesn't mean you have to have a college degree. I think we have to stop the idea that college degrees are the only path for people out of high school. You can get into the trades and you can make a heck of a lot of money very quickly if you get into the trades. But that being said, we have a lot of higher people with a college degree. And with that becomes more money because you got people making more money and you got more people, and that more money goes to help the state. Quality of healthcare. Holy God. Have you seen the house of horrors that is most of the Republican states' healthcare policies? It is truly bizarre that these people sit there and they say to themselves, yeah, this is great. It's just, of course, income levels. The income levels in red states is way behind what you see in blue states. You have states right now, and the Republicans are now starting to take this to a new extreme. You have states right now where, women don't have the right to choose their own health care over their own body and have to go and depend on blue states to be able to get that care. And Republicans are now arguing, well, maybe we should try to outlaw it to prevent people from ever being able to go and, be able to legally go to a different state and get an abortion or get a medical checkup. There isn't a category. Quality of life, happiness of the people, overwhelmingly, Democratic states leave Republican states. And I don't think that that's really a shocker. I don't think it's a shocker at all. The one that caught me in my tracks, and this came out, this is a study that's come on out, looks at life expectancy in America per county. And the reddest counties, your average life expectancy is basically 67 years old. In the bluest counties, it's 87. I want to stop. You guys, I get it. You've been brainwashed. And that's what really we're seeing here. When you see a town crumbling around itself, that you see empty farm after empty farm, for sale sign after for sale sign, closed institution after closed institution, these are all a sign, especially after 25, 28 years of failed Republican policy. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's failed Republican policy, yet they still keep grabbing for the crap sandwich. Why? Because they've been brainwashed into thinking that somehow, even though their lives are dramatically worse, than Democratic states right now. That somehow, if you put the Democrats in charge, even though they have a track record of being much better for their people in all these other states, that somehow their state would take steps back. That is some powerful mojo, and it tells you a lot about when we're looking at this whole Dominion thing, this was all by design. This is all by design. They will never report on Republicans doing things bad, and they will never report on Democrats doing things good, because they do not want these people hearing, guess what? The Democrats are an option. And that's the whole thing. OAN, Newsmax, Fox News, the defunding of the attacks on public radio, the buying off of all these radio stations and shutting down ones that don't repeat the far right wing talking points. This is the whole goal. But this one stat should scare the crap out of you if you're in a Republican state. It's a 20-year difference between the worst states, the worst areas at average life of the average age of death, and the best states. And it almost perfectly aligns with Republican states dying off a lot sooner than Democratic states. It is unbelievable. You are foregoing 20 years of your lives to own the libs. Think about that. You are forsaking 2 decades of time with your kids, with your grandkids, with your great-grandkids. I mean, we're talking 67. You should, I mean, I've got parents. You should be at 67, really up till 80. You should still be somewhat mobile. For the most part, hopefully you are. I hope that things are going well for you. Should be able to do some travel. Should be able to do some vacation. Should be able just to go to a public beach and sit there and watch waves crash in, for God's sakes. Or throw a fishing line into the water to try to catch a fish. Or just watch a freaking sunset. Instead, you have said, my allegiance, and once again, this is not just hypothetical. This is the world now. Democratic states live 20 years, up to 20 years longer than Republican states. Up to 20 years. And you sit there, and every election, you continue to go back to that voting booth, and you continue to say, I'm never going to vote Democrat. And you see is they're laughing all the way to the bank as your job you lose your job as a bank teller because the bank closed down. So now you're flipping burgers and making $5 less an hour than you were before. Your kids' schools are atrocious, not getting really education. They don't even qualify for college in many states. All you can hope for, you can't even afford to send them to trade school. Which, once again, by the way, for everyone out there, fantastic option. You can make within a few years, you're making a really good salary. Check out the trade schools. They do. We were talking about this down there in South Carolina. Some of these old wrought iron welder, that do these great fences and stuff that down in the South. That's trade school stuff. And they desperately need people to go down there and do it. But you can't afford a gallon of gas to get out of freaking town. And you sit there because at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save. Do you know what? I know exactly what is going on there. When I drive through a small town in South Carolina, I can see what things are going on because maybe you don't. Maybe you don't see these stats and these numbers that show quality of life and incomes and education and healthcare and the environment, the cleanliness of the environment and the happiness of the people are astronomically higher than where you're at. Maybe they're not. But if they are, I know exactly why you still at this point refuse to believe that things could get better if you just voted Democrat. I'll talk about that when I do return. Also, Gary, hold on. I'll take your call here in a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Bill Maher.
Every year, somebody, I don't know who, but they keep a registry of the names that parents are giving their newborns. They've been naming kids things like Pistol, Shooter, Magnum, Remington. This is sick. Liberals don't do this. Liberals don't name their kids Prius and Juicer.
Bill Maher in the Mystic Showroom, May 21st. Get tickets now at the Mystic box office or online at mysticlake.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Accept your intelligence.
Coming up, what's in a game?
Why do people waste their time on games?
It's not a waste of time. You practice skills and learn things about the world.
What, on Angry Birds?
Hey, you learn about the physics of flight.
You really believe in popping pigs and exploding birds?
What's in a game? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, Brett just asked a question about where this number about the 20-year difference between red counties, the most extreme red counties and the most extreme blue counties of 20 years, where does it come from? The Global Health Data Exchange, the map was put together by Jeremy Ney, who is an incredibly smart person, a researcher at MIT and Harvard. So he's not a guy that generally just puts out stuff. It's legit, man. And it's hard to watch because once again, there are anomalies here. It's not perfect. I mean, clearly you look at where the Native American reservations are in the Dakotas, they're really just, the white people in those states are not taking care of the Native Americans there. And that's incredibly clear what's going on there. But you look at these red areas and this most red part from basically the eastern part of Texas all the way up to North Carolina. And it's a 20-year gap. And I can tell you why. And it's the reluctance. I am an interesting cat to send down to South Carolina, man. Because I don't take their crap seriously. When they try to shovel it at me, I don't take it seriously, and I actually come back at them. And there was one guy I was talking to, and he said, we're going to leave the emotions out of the issue, trying to portray that he was on a neutral stance. So, well, sir, if I can follow up with that most time everyone's saying we're going to leave the emotions out of an issue, they generally are favoring one side or the other. I never said that. Like, yeah, okay. But all right, I'll let you go off that one. They don't want to admit it. That's the problem now. They're whipped pups. That's what it is. A person with half a freaking brain cell in their noggin would realize that the Republican Party has failed us in these states. After 20 some years, things have not gotten better. They've gotten a lot worse. And henceforth, yeah, that's where things are at. But because they don't want to admit, man, were we wrong? I can't tell you how many people I've had come into Minnesota and just say, I can't believe this state. Sure, it gets cold, and yeah, you got a lot of snow. But, this state is amazing. The schools here are amazing. It's an old thing. My wife used to work as a corporate headhunter. She would go try to find people and bring them into Minneapolis businesses. The hardest city in the nation to recruit into is Minneapolis, St. Paul. The hardest city in the nation to recruit out of is Minneapolis, St. Paul. So when people get here, they're like, holy God, I'm not leaving. You're crazy, man. This place is amazing. Have you tried the Southeast Asian cuisine? It's fantastic here. It really is top notch. No, this is the problem. I mean, it takes you sometimes getting out of a blue state and going to a red state to see the level of intentional ignorance by these people with their vote. And now, after 20, 25, 28 years, you see that Republicans have been lying their asses off. Your life has not gotten any better. If anything, it's worse. And your life expectancy has actually gone down in these states. 20 years just to own the libs. 20 years of your life just to own the libs. What a sad, sad statement on Republican policy. Gary is in Minneapolis. Let's try to get Gary Barry in here before the end of the show. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Matt. Good to have you on the air again. If you're up a little bit.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, when you mentioned 2010, I feel so good about myself. I did a lot of phone baking that year. There are a lot of young college kids there phone baking too, and it was so close. You know, we would have went the way of Wisconsin if Dayton had been sneaked by Emory. He didn't win by that much. He beat them to things like that gay marriage and that. What was the other one? The voter ID stuff, and we overthrew them because they put it on the ballot, the Republicans, and so. And then, you know, when the Republicans say they want to give that tax money back to the rich, we're having a lot of people that really need it, the Democrats this year.
Well, and Gary, if I can step in there really quick, did you take a look at that Arkansas bill that Sarah Huckabee just signed? That money, she's like, we're giving the money back. No, you're giving the money to about 20 people. You're giving all the money to about 20 people and corporations. Oh my God. I mean, and the crazy part is these people are doing this to their own constituents with a smile on their face. I'll see you up next.
New at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Kuma wood stoves and fireplace inserts. American-made, sturdy and efficient wood heaters. All models qualify for 30% tax credit you can earn installing efficient and renewable wood heat. Come see the new wood-burning Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been selling wood-burning products since 1977. Kuma burners are hard-working home heaters made from heavy, laser-cut steel. Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts have cast iron doors and large self-cleaning glass windows. You can see the firelight and feel the heat from their efficient fire. One of Woodland's many choices to make fire work for you and your home.
We're with the chimney and installation experts. They not only install, but will guide you if you want to install yourself. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services.
Come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. The Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, is suing Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan. Jordan is chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Bragg contends Jordan is staging a transparent campaign to intimidate and attack him over his indictment of former President Donald Trump. Jordan tweeted, first they indict a president for no crime, and then they sue to block congressional oversight when we ask questions about the federal funds they say they used to do it. Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal says the bank employee involved in the deadly shooting yesterday bought the weapon April 4th.
He purchased the weapon legally from one of the local dealerships here in Louisville. We have executed a search warrant on his residence, and we have recovered items.
The mayor of Louisville, Craig Greenberg, says something must be done to stop gun violence.
You may think this will never happen to you, never happen to any of your friends or loved ones. I used to think that. The sad truth is that now no one in our city, no one in our state, no one in our country has that luxury anymore.
In Washington, D.C., Police Chief Robert Conti says one person was shot and killed outside a funeral home for the funeral of a homicide victim.
It appears that several of the people who were in the block were specifically targeted. We're unsure why that is. We're unsure why these people were targeted, more or less why they were targeted at a funeral. We don't understand that.
3 other people were seriously injured. So far, no arrests in Washington, saying she's ready to share the unfathomable experience of being arrested and incarcerated in Russia. Basketball star Brittany Griner is working on a memoir that is scheduled for next spring. Griner was arrested last year at the airport in Moscow on drug-related charges and detained for nearly 10 months. The Dow finished up 98 points. This is AP News.
Be more CyberZen. Get NordVPN. With a few simple clicks, NordVPN will block online trackers, secure your devices from malware-infected downloads, and block access to malicious websites. With NordVPN, enjoy internet without trackers, without malicious websites, without malware-ridden files. Be more CyberZen. Catch the special deal now at nordvpn.com.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries worried about COVID-19. COVID-19 tests are now covered by Medicare Part B. That's right. Achieve DX will ship you your rapid COVID-19 tests at no cost straight to your home. These easy-to-use FDA EUA authorized tests will give you results in 15 minutes. Even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you can have these tests delivered to your home at no cost to you, and the shipping is free. For your free COVID-19 tests, call Achieve DX at 800-300-1634. That's 800-300-1634. Call now.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
I'm so overwhelmed with all the different medic companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decision seem easy.
Really? Well, what do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Hi, CompareYourMedicare.com. We're a local small business that prides itself in helping our community with their Medicare needs. Medicare is complex, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past Medicare eligibility at age 65, give us a call. We can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com or call 952-465-0074 to schedule a consultation. CompareYourMedicare.com is part of the Minnesota Health Insurance Network of agents.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high 81, tonight clear with a low around 61, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 83. Create unforgettable meals that are sure to impress with vinaigrette. From extra virgin olive oils to balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils to white balsamic vinegars and wine vinegars, Vinaigrette has it all. Independently owned since 2009, find Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show. Matt McNeil back in the saddle again. Once again, thanks to Todd Mickelson. Fantastic. I really appreciate him filling in for us on this show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. A few things. First of all, I could not believe when I was flying back on Sun Country, the snow, how much it receded. When I left, I mean, I want a reminder, I left 2 days after that blizzard that dumped 8 inches in the metro. There was a good 2 feet of snow everywhere. And my son was, I talked to my son because he didn't go with us. He's at college. And I said, when did this happen? He goes 3 days ago. It was pretty much all still here. And this is yesterday when I got back. It was 3 days ago, probably Saturday and Sunday. It just started melting like crazy. Unbelievable. I got to believe the rivers and creeks are under flood watches at this point, aren't they?
Yeah, I would think they would be too, but it did melt pretty quickly over, like a 3 to 4 day period.
Well, my front yard is going to be completely empty. I mean, there was 2 feet of snow in the thing. Unbelievable. I saw open lakes Open lakes just south of the metro area. Open lakes, man. That makes zero sense. How does it melt that fast? That's insane. I'm going to guess all the water on top of it. That must have done in the ice on those lakes. I mean, not in the metro, but just south of us.
Yeah. It didn't exactly get that hot while you were gone. I mean, it was maybe 50 degrees, but yeah, we were in the 60s, 70s.
Well, since I got back, it's a lot hotter. I'm going to do the side glare into the new camera all the time, man. Oh, yeah.
It's a treat if you're watching this.
Speaking of treats, okay, tomorrow I got to share with you what could be the greatest restaurant ever made, man. I am dead serious. Tomorrow's show, I'm going to share with you about what could be the greatest restaurant that's ever lived.
So you like the Arby's in South Carolina?
Oh, God, who doesn't love a beef and cheddar? Oh, hours I could eat those. No, South Dakota. Why is the Arby's in South Dakota? Is there a little,
I thought I said South Carolina. Did I say South Dakota?
Okay. They're a little tangier in South Dakota. Are they? I don't know. I don't know if I really want to go try that out. No, it's not an Arby's. It's a place called Mrs. Wilkes. And oh my God. Oh my. I'll have some pictures to share for you tomorrow on that. 952-946-6205. So when I was gone, there was two stories out of Minnesota that came to light that we're talking about. One was Rudy Gobert, which was, just how do you spell locker room poison? Gobert. That's how you spell it. Dear Lord. I mean, this guy's not going to be playing. I mean, he's going to be stuck in the freaking Albanian league after this. I mean, who's going to pick him up in the NBA? Who wants to play with what a spoiled little piece of crud that guy is?
Yeah, who would want him as someone probably will sign him just because of his talent, but he won't last long.
He'll you get good luck in Albania. That's all I'll say there. The other story had to do, of course, with the story I imagine you guys covered as well. The lack of public restrooms in downtown Minneapolis that sent the Red Hot Chili Pepper bases fleeing through the city to try to find a public potty. Did you hear about this?
I did not know.
You guys did. I leave for a week, flee from Red Hot Chili Peppers, can't find a toilet in downtown Minneapolis. There's a sinkhole on Girard Avenue. What the hell? What, were you covering politics? What's wrong with you people? Come on, man. Priorities. Yep, flee. Okay, so he apparently went into various businesses. How do you not know that's Flea? God, that guy looks exactly like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Dude, are you Flea from the Red Hot Chili? I would have just let him into the bathroom just because I thought he looked like Flea. Hey, there's a guy that looks like Flea. I just let him use the John. I'm good with that. While in town for Saturday's concert at US Bank Stadium, the rock star tweeted the story of his urgent search to find a bathroom after shopping at the downtown Target. So the downtown Target doesn't have bathrooms? The journey involved pleading with Target employees, angering a fan after refusing a selfie.
How do you like that?
Hey, man, can I get away from me? A nearby cafe employee threatened to call security. Finally, Flea made it by the skin of his teeth to another unnamed restaurant's restroom a few blocks away. Flea's story highlights a problem downtown Minneapolis. Other city centers are trying to solve. Visitors, residents, and unsheltered people need more places to relieve themselves. Minneapolis's downtown improvement district used to keep a running list of bathrooms as part of their 100 restrooms project, which cataloged, oh, that's fascinating reading, by the way. Oh, a page turner, which cataloged and encouraged more public bathrooms downtown. But the project is no longer actively managed because of pandemic impacts, a spokesperson said. There are estimates around 24 in the area, down from 29 in 2019. There are 24 public bathrooms in downtown Minneapolis. It's a big place, man. You're going to need a few more. Back then, many were in government buildings and they only opened during business hours. Others were hard to find and required employees to access, according to the 2019 report. I know there were a few in the Skyway that they were open. I don't know if they still are. Council member Mike, trust me, if you ever took a kid down to the Skyway system, and we go down because Minneapolis, St. Paul is cool. Is really cool. And and I took my kids down to the Skyway because it's cool, man. It's a Skyway. Run building to building. They had a blast. And trust me, if you go downtown with kids, you know where all the public bathrooms are. There you go. Council member Michael Rainville, who represents part of the downtown, told Axios that he believes some public restrooms did close because of COVID or crime in recent years. He hasn't heard complaints from constituents on the matter. Well, you notice you use the word constituents, not bass players from huge rock bands. Let me ask you something. You think that helped your image? You think it helped your image?
I hope like at Target they were going, you need to buy something, sir, before you use the bathroom.
So how do you feel? I mean, if you were one of the people that turned him away, it's Flea. You know he's going to come out of that bathroom and he's going to be taking every selfie. Let me do a picture, sign this here. What do you need me to buy? I'm good. You've got to know where to find them. Some businesses owners have cited safety concerns about opening the restrooms to the public, including people who aren't customers camping out. Public bathroom access is the issue nationwide. In one 2021 report estimates there are just 8 public toilets per 100,000 people. However, some cities across the U.S. are experimenting with new ways to provide access. Phoenix is piloting is piloting a new single-stall bathroom with anti-graffiti coating to see-through top and bottom to discourage illegal activity, and blue light to prevent drug users from locating veins. So you go into, it's a top view and a bottom view and blue lights. That's the toilets in Phoenix. And I bet they're hot. Oh boy. I bet at a 120-degree day, they're a delight to go into those. How is it? Have you ever been to Europe? You ever been out there?
No, I have not.
You go there, there are public toilets everywhere. And there's not that there isn't homeless people. I mean, I think there's less because they actually care about their people. I know. But they don't, there's public restrooms everywhere. I just don't know why this is so difficult. It's just now we're looking bad. Flea, if you know which restaurant you use, we're going in there. We will give them a plug on the show. And can we give them the award for best bathrooms in Minneapolis, St. Paul? Can we give them that award? Well, most comfortable bathrooms. If you are a player in a massive rock band, boy oh boy, do we have a bathroom for you to use. I hope he does release that. I hope he does. I hope he tells us where the coffee shop where they threatened to call security is. I'd like to know that. How do you not know it's Flea, man? I mean, well, maybe
you're calling security on him.
Could you identify Flea?
Probably not, no.
Well, you and I are not like hipsters who work in a coffee shop either. I could identify Flea. Man.
Depends on, yeah.
Are you the Edge? Sure, man. Yeah, you could. Here, let me give you a Sharpie. You can sign the living daylights out of that bathroom while I'm here. Knock yourself out. 952-946-6205. Get it fixed, guys. Get it fixed. You have Max Nestorak, right?
Yeah, we have Max Nestorak on today as Patrick Kulikan on vacation. So Max filling in. Always good to chat with him, though, as he worked on a number of articles last week, including one talking about sales taxes around cities and counties and how a specific DFL representative is blocking cities and counties from doing these. Also get into the big abortion pill ruling, how that could impact us here in Minnesota, and some other news.
All right. It's Max Nestorak from Minnesota Reformer right with us, and Brett right now here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Brett Johnson with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. Well, today we're joined by Max Nestorak. He is the deputy editor of the Minnesota Reformer, as we're going to be talking about some of the news of the day, what's happening at the Minnesota legislature, and some of the articles that they're working on over at the Reformer. Max, as always, thanks for coming on the show today. Appreciate it.
Always happy to come on.
Absolutely. So let's start off with some big news, at least at the national level, where a Texas judge basically ruled that the abortion pill did not properly get USDA approval. So how could this Texas judge's ruling impact us here in Minnesota? Are we seeing new bills being proposed by lawmakers to protect access to the abortion pill? Because this is kind of complicated in terms of how this ruling could impact us here in Minnesota, correct?
It is complicated. You know, it's important to note that Attorney General Keith Ellison signed on to a lawsuit order that led to a ruling out of Washington State just hours after the Texas ruling judge banning mifepristone, ordering the FDA to keep the status quo and not and not restrict access to mifepristone, which is the first of a two-part drug series used to terminate pregnancies. And so that Washington state judge ruled that the 17 states and DC who joined onto this lawsuit, the FDA shouldn't restrict access in those states. And Minnesota is one of them because Attorney General Keith Ellison joined that lawsuit. I think it would probably be a different story if his Republican opponent, Jim Schultz, had been elected. So right now we have these two competing, one from a Washington state judge, one from a Texas judge. The Texas judge stayed his own ruling until Friday, so it wouldn't go into effect anywhere until then. So we'll see what happens. I'm hearing that because of all the confusion and the competing orders, this is going to get fast tracked to the U.S. Supreme Court, who will make a decision. But as of right now, the abortion prescription mifepristone is still available to Minnesotans who need it. And I should also note that, like I said, it's the first of a two-part drug series. Abortions can still be performed with that second pill, although it carries higher risks of side effects like diarrhea and nausea.
Well, you brought up an interesting point just a few moments ago, talking about last year's Attorney General's race in Minnesota, because correct me if I'm wrong, but if the Republican Jim Schultz had won that election instead of the DFL or Keith Ellison, good chance Schultz would not have signed on to that lawsuit in Washington. And if Ellison was not the AG, there's a good chance that this pill the abortion pill potentially could have been banned in Minnesota if Schultz was the AG instead of Ellison. I think that's an interesting distinction to make, being that if that lawsuit had not been signed onto, it could be a very different situation here in the state.
Right, and it was the closest race, of all the statewide elections. Keith Ellison kind of barely squeaked out a victory, and Jim Schultz he served on the board of an anti-abortion group that we've reported on spreads debunked claims that abortion increases the risk of breast cancer and so forth. So I find it very unlikely that Schultz, who was on the board of directors for Human Life Alliance, would have signed on to this lawsuit.
Yeah, it's an interesting aspect to look at in this story, just showing that, of course, elections do have major consequences, especially at the state and the local level. Well, after a 1-week break, the Minnesota State Legislature is back in session as we move on to some other news. And they already do have some budget agreements reached already. But I am curious, Max, what else could the legislature possibly be working on in the coming weeks? What kind of timeline could we be looking at with, of course, that close of session being a little bit later on in May?
Right. So it's possible that they end session early, which I think is going to take a lot of people by surprise. I'll come out and say that I was not optimistic that unified government would necessarily mean a more efficient government. There's always disagreements among Democrats, and I thought that Democrats would still have trouble, hammering out all of their differences, but they've really pushed beyond deadlock and just moved at a very rapid pace. So we're coming back, we're hearing all of these major budget bills, and so there's a lot of little things in there. These bills are huge. It's hard to digest all of them, so we're doing our best to kind of dig in and find out what's in there that nobody else is reporting on. So this is going to take up a lot of time over the next month to debate these bills and hear amendments and dig into what other kind of policy items are in there, because even though they're budget bills, there's lots of policy in there or new programs getting funded. So it's really interesting work happening.
Well, talking about some other news at the state legislature, I want to focus on an article that you wrote last week that focused on cities and counties trying to raise sales taxes around the state of Minnesota, because cities and counties all over Minnesota are putting through a record number of requests for sales tax hikes to fund projects like parks, community centers, jails, road improvements, and more. Basically, kind of the projects you would think of local cities and counties funding. However, there is a catch when cities and counties try raising sales taxes. they actually need the approval of the Minnesota State Legislature as well as the local voters in that district. Now, normally these requests breeze through the legislature pretty quickly with bipartisan support and are largely rubber stamped, but that's a little bit different this year because DFL Representative Aisha Gomez wants to put a pause on these, saying that they are unfair to lower income people. Now, Max, we'll dive into what Aisha is talking about with this being unfair to lower income people. But before we get into that, what is the motivation behind this record number of requests for sales tax hikes by lawmakers in their districts? Is there a reason why we're seeing so many of these types of requests from cities and counties to raise sales taxes to fund projects?
Well, I think there's a couple different reasons. One is that funding that the state provides to cities and counties, which is called local government aid, hasn't kept pace with inflation or local budgets in years. So that's led many to raise property taxes or else forego, building the community centers or police stations or fire stations or jails that they wanted to. Another thing that happened is in recent years, these sales taxes have actually been very successful at passing. Voters have overwhelmingly approved them. And so I think a lot of cities and counties have looked at that and said, all right, well, we probably have a pretty good chance of winning if we bring this to voters. So this year, there's been about 36 requests from cities and counties, mostly from cities, requesting sales tax increases ranging from, 0.25% to a whole 1% in St. Paul. These would go up for anything from, a public safety center, a correctional facility, or in St. Paul's case, to fund street improvements and parks and rec facilities. So a whole host of public services that cities are hoping to raise revenue for.
And what's interesting, too, is that these generally are pretty popular with lawmakers, not just at the legislature, but also the local level, because one of the reasons why sales taxes are an easy sale to the public, and it's interesting you wrote about this, is that, well, you can kind of sell it to voters as being, well, most of those taxes are probably going to be paid for people that live outside the district. When you think about people that are maybe coming into a city and county and shopping at a retail place, so they're, of course, spending money and being taxed on that. So that does kind of make it a selling point for a number of these local districts, is that you can say, well, most people that are going to be paying for this don't even live where you are.
Right, absolutely. St. Paul is doing this in their, pamphlet explaining why St. Paul is asking for this. They say, look, if you're a St. Paul resident, you're subsidizing all the people who come in and drive on our roads to St. Paul to visit the Capitol, to work downtown, to visit stores along Grand Avenue. And through your property taxes, you're funding for all that road repair. Sales tax is going to be a fair way of having everyone who uses St. Paul streets and enjoys St. Paul's amenities to chip in and help fund road repair and parks and those sorts of things. So absolutely, in Edina, this was a big pitch to Edina residents, and they raised 0.5% sales tax. Is that there's a lot of people who come in from out of town or outside of Edina to shop here. So it's a great way to raise revenue off someone else's voters. Basically, that's what Representative Steve Elkins of Bloomington said. He says, when local lawmakers put this to voters, what they're really asking for is permission to tax other voters or other lawmakers' voters, if that makes sense.
Well, and that does kind of lead to, my next question, with some concerns with Representative Aisha Gomez, the DFLer from Minneapolis, who has some concerns about the legislature continuing to approve these local sales tax hikes for cities and counties around the state. She brings up a number of points, including the fact that, it could be kind of a bias towards cities and counties that have a large retail base. So what are some of her concerns about kind of putting a pause on some of these requests for raising sales taxes around different cities and counties in Minnesota?
Yeah, well, like you said, Aisha Gomez, she's a progressive. She comes from Minneapolis. And so in a way, it's kind of unexpected that this resistance is coming from her, both because her district has a very strong retail base to raise sales tax revenue, And also, she's a tax and spend Democrat. She wants to provide more government services to people. But her point is that we have a tradition in Minnesota of equalizing the wealth in the state and the economic activity across the state. And that goes back to legislation in the 1970s, which was dubbed the Minnesota Miracle, where the state, has higher income and sales taxes, which it takes in collectively, and then it redistributes it across the other state and across the state. So this is a boon for people in rural communities who don't have the Mall of America or Lake Street or downtown Minneapolis, who don't have those big commercial centers to raise sales tax revenue from. And so Gomez's point is that this cuts against that tradition of equalizing prosperity across the entire state. The other reason she thinks this is bad policy is because sales taxes inherently are regressive. They place a higher burden on low-income people because it makes up a larger percentage of their overall income. But on the counter side, there are people, progressives, who have argued, well, sales taxes can actually be good because rich people consume more and therefore pay a lot more into these taxes. So if you're using these taxes to fund something like housing or public transit, something that low-income people could really use more, then it actually comes out in it ends up being a progressive policy decision.
They can read more about that over at MinnesotaReformer.com. MinnesotaReformer.com. I encourage you to check that out because it's something that could impact you in your pocketbook every day if you see those sales taxes getting raised in your city or county. So it's an interesting read to see how this process kind of works in Minnesota. Final piece of news to talk about with you, Max. We'll briefly touch on this, but this has to do with Mary Ellen Ritter's piece that she wrote titled Minnesota's Nurses Fear for the Future of Healthcare. Of course, being a nurse is a very difficult position, not just in Minnesota, but around the entire country, with nurses being asked to do more than ever. There's been cases of, what nurses kind of call like moral injury, and the fact that the job is very morally taxing. So I'm curious, Max, this was a good article, certainly written by Mary, talking about how nurses are going through a lot of struggles right now. And it sounds like they at least do have the attention of some members of the legislature in terms of trying to, make things a little bit easier on nurses.
Right. Yeah. So this is something that we've written a lot about, leading through that whole year, last year of fights between the nurses union and 7 of the state's largest health systems, leading to that 3-day strike, the largest private sector nurses strike in U.S. history. So, they're bringing their demands to have a greater say in staff levels to the state legislature. And what they're saying is they want nurses to be on committees that can decide what is an acceptable patient staffing ratio for each unit in a hospital. And they say this is going to help ease the staffing shortage that is so severe, because they say the reason there's not enough nurses is because there's not enough nurses who are willing to work under the conditions that they have to in hospitals right now. So it's become a vicious cycle where they say, because of management decisions to try and cut costs and run on a skeleton crew, that's driven out nurses who get burned out, and it becomes then a cycle of nurses don't want to stick around because it's short-staffed, and then you're short-staffed because you don't have enough nurses. So they say by setting this floor, this requirement for staffing levels across each unit, it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all for all hospitals. But they say that'll help draw nurses into the profession and keep nurses at the bedside. And that's the name of the bill, is keeping nurses at the bedside.
We'll read more about that in Mary Ellen Ritter's piece titled Minnesota's Nurses Fear for Their Future of Healthcare over at MinnesotaReformer.com. Again, MinnesotaReformer.com. We have been speaking with Max Nestorak. He is the deputy editor of the Minnesota Reformer. Again, the website one more time, MinnesotaReformer.com. Max, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's take a break and send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
There are men and there are challenges.
Hey, it's Tom. Fossil fuels continue to have negative impacts on our environment. Luckily, there are more ways now than ever to use renewable energy in your home or business. All Energy Solar offers smart energy solutions like custom solar paneling, electric vehicle chargers, and energy storage. Solar panel systems can last for decades, meaning you can help the environment and cut back on electric bills for years to come. There are incentives and rebates available to most people who install solar energy too. Last year, the federal solar tax credit increased to a 30% tax credit. This incentive can be used in combination with other incentives from your utility, county, or city. But don't delay or miss out, as many of these incentives are limited to only a certain number of people. So have a professional from All Energy Solar help you discover how solar can power up your property while saving on your energy costs. Call 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when I have to get service done, there's only one place I go. Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with the Hunter Quick Check Drive Inspection Service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and parts specials just for your Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring. And new for 2023, the St. Paul Art Crawl will now span 4 weekends from April 14th through May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl will feature different districts each weekend, so you will have more opportunities to see more artists and performances. The event will showcase the work of local artists from 10 distinct art districts in St. Paul. This year's crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever, with 26 different venues hosting hundreds of talented artists, live music, dance, and delicious local food. As the longest-running art crawl in the United States, the St. Paul Art Crawl is an iconic event for art lovers and collectors alike. You can explore the city's diverse neighborhoods and experience the unique creative visions of each artist. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's 4 weekends spanning April 14th through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we do our best not to disturb that environment. So I was thrilled to discover Natural Lawn. Their safer products and soil tests ensure that your lawn will be healthy, lush, and green. I don't even have to worry about bringing my furry friend to the station, thanks to the great care from Natural Lawn. I highly recommend Natural Lawn to keep your lawn beautiful, healthy, without compromising safety and sustainability. More at naturalawn.com.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 81, tonight clear with a low around 61, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 83. Create unforgettable meals that are sure to impress with vinaigrette. From extra virgin olive oils to balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils to white balsamic vinegars and wine vinegars, Vinaigrette has it all. Independently owned since 2009, find Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis or at vinaigrettemn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I got a good story. This is a good story. This will make you feel good. The members of Trinity Moravian Church in North Carolina purchased nearly $3.3 million of local residents' medical debt for just $15,048. Then they had a debt jubilee ceremony, burned it up, all the debt. They just bought it, took it, and burned it right up. Fantastic.
Nicely done, yes.
For them to get down to the point where they could buy that for $15,000 tells you that this is after years of harassment from debt collectors on this debt. Years of harassment, hourly phone calls. You know, basically telling you, give me your family members. I'll call them and tell them that you need money. That sort of thing. Absolutely fantastic. So yesterday, we had another shooting. This one at a bank in Louisville, Kentucky. I was thinking about I was on vacation in South Carolina, and although South Carolina is not like freaking Idaho or Texas, where everywhere you go, I mean, you go into any restaurant in Texas, and there are people wearing guns everywhere. Churches, you go into churches in Texas, there are people wearing guns. And it's not that people don't get shot. They get shot all the time in Texas. In Idaho and places like that. They do. It's not as bad as that, but it is a fairly pro-gun society. And after the shooting in Tennessee and now after the shooting in Kentucky, there is this mentality of guns. I mean, it's kind of their whole thing. Republicans are screaming, guns, 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 guns everywhere. Arm the children, arm the teachers, arm everybody. Now, I'm going to go through this because I want to make sure you understand why most people carry guns. And also, it's time to start tearing down the Republicans' argument on guns because it doesn't work. They don't work. Not at all. We have plenty of evidence of that now, too. If everyone carried a bottle of poison, would nobody poison anyone else? Seriously, if we gave every person, say age 6 and up, a bottle of poison, do you think that nobody would be poisoned? Because everybody would be looking around saying, well, they've got poison too. So if they poison me, I'm going to poison them. And that way they know that they better not poison me. Which is stupid logic. Because under your logic, okay, well, first of all, I mean, it's not necessarily a fair comparison because, you die a lot faster from a gun than you would from poison. But at the end of the day, you seem to forget one thing that's a little bit of an important element is that, everyone would be dead. That your best case scenario world is everyone shoots everyone poisons everyone hatchets everyone. And that's because if they take a hatchet to me, I can take a hatchet to them. Which is, can we stop for a second and think about how stupid this argument is? Well, he starts shooting. Okay, yeah. Hope you weren't the first target there because that would be kind of hard to kind of come back from. Guns everywhere doesn't work. And I'll explain this, quite a bit here. Go into this quite a bit. Why do people carry guns? Now, they're going to tell you safety. Bull crud. Now, I'm not talking about hunting weapons. I'm not. Hunting weapons aside, why do people carry guns? The people who say it's about safety, have you ever noticed that they're too terrified to come into the city? Wait a second. Whoa. You got a gun. Under your argument, you should be able to go anywhere because you're the safest person around. You should have no concerns about the no-go zones and war zones and ghost towns that are Minneapolis. You shouldn't. You, by your own narrative, insist that the guns make you safer. So henceforth, why are you all cowering out in the outside of the state and not coming into the city? Which, by the way, kicks ass. We love this town. This town is amazing. We got sinkholes. Have you seen those? And Rudy Gobert. And Thai food. And Arby's.
But not a lot of public restrooms.
Not a lot of public restrooms. But we got Flea running around the city having to use a public restroom. This town is amazing, man. This town is amazing. Melting snow and Flea running around the city. With people trying to get selfies with them. No, you yourself say that gun makes you safer. So why aren't you coming into town, coward? Yeah, that's right. I'm calling you guys out. Because in your world, you should be not afraid to go anywhere. Well, so it's not about safety. It's not about safety. As a matter of fact, the safest people are people that don't have guns. If you look at the accidental shootings, intentional shootings, police shootings, it's the people that have guns that actually end up having a lot more problems with guns than the people that don't have guns. It's a truth. Unless it's, once again, another slaughter at an elementary school, which you guys keep thinking are the sacrificing people's kids are the price of your version of freedom. So it comes down to, if it's not about safety, if 90% of the people who carry guns are not really carrying them for safety reasons, why are they carrying them? And it really, I can't believe many of them think that the zombie apocalypse scenario is what's coming up, where they basically, the zombies came back. And remember that girl who didn't give me the time of day when I was in high school? Well, she's at the door right now because I've got an arsenal of guns. And if she says she'll make me food and she'll have sex with me and we'll be best friends forever if I can come in and I can save her from the zombies. This is going to be the zombies are coming near me. Okay. So you can't be stupid enough to think the zombie apocalypse thing is true. You can't. I'm not saying that some don't. I mean, I guarantee you some of you clown cars do. Some of you gun kooks are out there. It's like, the zombies could come up from the grave at any time. Sure. Yeah, I guess. Happy Easter. Anyway, but I'm Catholic. I can say that joke. Or I was Catholic. I'm Christian. I can say that joke. Anyway. So if it's not the zombie apocalypse, and it's clearly not safety, because you, by your own admission, should have no problem going into any neighborhood in the city because you're safe because of your gun. So what is it? It's a certain mentality I like to call, I'll show you, because that's what it is. That's what 90% of people who carry guns, not hunting weapons, just guns, 90% of them are doing it for. It's the I'll show you mentality. They feel it's the ultimate debate winner. They do. They feel as if they're losing an argument, well, they can just pull their gun. Well, I'm right now, aren't I? And that's where the problem lies. They're not carrying guns for safety. They're surely not carrying it for zombie apocalypse. They're carrying it because they feel as if they can use it as the ultimate decider in a case. I'll show you. It's why you guys love freaking Yellowstone, for God's sakes. What's that whole thing about? Is, well, we're going to win the debate with the guns. Yeah, okay, great, good. Yeah, please. Uh-oh. Are you okay, camera? Is camera okay? Camera just came to. So note to self, do not hammer. Is camera working still?
Yeah, it's still there. We got a nice view of the face there.
Hi there. How you doing? Good to see you. Well, that look good because it just fell over. Anyway, it work.
Yeah, you look very tall in that right now.
I'm huge. Anyway, Now that I look at it, this ramshackle stack of trays is probably not the best thing to put the expensive camera on. Just, builder's point.
We'll have something coming up besides the trays, which just collapsed. Yes.
It's funny. Anyway, back to my rant. So it's not about safety. It's not about zombie apocalypse. It's about I'll show you. You think of guns as the ultimate debate winner. That's what this is about. That's what it's about. We're going to win the debate. There was a story of a man. I remember this was in Texas. You want to know, this in my mind is proof positive. That's all this is. A few years ago, there was a guy in Texas that got rear-ended and got out of his car and shot the guy behind him. And he just, I just stand my ground. It was like this, and I thought I was under attack. Well, what you find out actually did happen was the guy was brake checking him and brake checking other people, so just slamming on his brakes. The guy hit him. He shot the guy like 4 times, just got out of the car, just bang, 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 shot the guy 4 times. He said he was about to kill me when the police informed him, well, that would have been impossible because he was pinned in his car after the accident. And all of a sudden he was like, I was scared of my life. I saw a gun. They said there was no gun there. And so the guy got convicted. When I went to try to find that story, by the way, and this is proof positive, this is the reason why these people carry guns is the I'll show you mentality. Do you know how many times that's happened where someone accidentally rear ends somebody and the guns come out and bullets are fired? I went back about 3 months. There's like 6 or 7 cases of this. I'm like, I don't even know if I can find this story. I'll see if I can track it down tonight. The one I remember. But this happens on a freaking regular basis. Why? I'll show you. That's why. And so it's not about safety. It's not about zombies. It's about basically having this ultimate debate settler that basically I'm going to put you in your place. And that's what happens. And this is why guns everywhere will not work, is because we have state after state after state where there are guns freaking everywhere. And yet we still have these shootings all the time because it's not about safety. It's not about safety. It's about I'll show you. And that's it. This is the joke that is, because let me give you another thing. Point out this, guns everywhere will not stop shooters. The argument is, well, if everybody knows other people have got guns, well, no one's going to shoot. What did we just have in Wisconsin? We had 2 police officers get gunned down in the street, right? You would think that the police officers would be familiar with guns, right? They'd have training. And if anything, what happened in Wisconsin shows you how lethal these damn things are, is that someone with training, with a weapon on their hip, had no chance in these situations when it came to a deranged individual who was going to go, I'll show you, and started pulling the trigger. In the Louisville shooting, they had armed security there. They also had police come in there, and this guy got into a firefight with him. It didn't sound like it's like, oh, wow, the police are here with guns. Let me put my gun down because clearly this is going to be a dangerous situation. No. Sounds like in that case, that individual indeed was getting, well, at least on the initial reports, some level of revenge because they got fired. And what did they do? I'll show you. Guns everywhere did not stop this. And as a matter of fact, someone pointed out Ted Cruz insisted, well, the problem with the shooting in Tennessee was because if you go to a bank, no one shoots up a bank because there are armed guards and there are police. That didn't age well. They're Senator, dumbass, if I can be Ted Cruz, Senator dumbass. No, it's because the entire thing is about I'll show you at the end of the day. It's false bravado. It's the ultimate debate winner. It's the I'm going to be like those guys and I'm going to settle my scores. And that's what it is. And that's what it is. And that's 90% of the people carrying a freaking gun around right now. Because if it was about safety, why are you so scared to come into the city now? Oh, that's right. It's not about safety. It's about basically sitting there and saying, well, if I ever have to, I'll settle the score the right way. Which brings up the point of how ludicrous the entire narrative of the guns everywhere argument is. Because clearly, at this point, guns everywhere will not keep you safer. So what is it that Republicans are really saying when they say we want guns everywhere? Stay tuned. I'll come back on that one. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Bovag Plumbing in Prior Lake reminds you that drugs are not the pathway to glory. Encourage your kids to take part in productive and enjoyable activity. Being involved with sports, music, volunteering, or after-school programs can help keep your child happy, healthy, and most importantly, drug-free. This from Bovag Plumbing in Prior Lake, the local plumbers you can trust for honest, professional, and affordable service. They're licensed, bonded, and insured for your protection. Visit online at bovag.com or call 952-440-3792.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Our version of Cambot is doing okay, right?
Ah, nicely done with Cambot.
Yeah.
There.
Thank you. My time alone with the computer is paid off. Well, we do need to find a better stand than basically the rickety old Shaq Patrick from Bikini Bottom put together here. So we'll have to be careful there. All right.
We'll find a couple old computers to put it on or something.
Don't we have an intern? Come on, get in here. This is your job. Welcome to radio. Like I didn't do that myself. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So, okay, if guns are not about safety and the guns are not about the zombie apocalypse, which they're not, then it's basically like, I'll show you mentality, right? It is. And that's 90% of the people that carry guns are the I'll show you. And really it is. They're going to be a tough guy. And at the end of the day, I'll be right. And think about this to yourself. That person is probably drinking, having liquor with that gun. You wonder why we have these problems. So the Republicans know that this guns everywhere won't work. As a matter of fact, once again, we just had a case where 2 Wisconsin police officers were shot and killed. They clearly had guns. They clearly had experience. They never had a chance. They have the shooter in Louisville, got into a shootout with police, killed 5 people. The police having guns did not deter anyone, because giving guns to everyone will not stop gun violence. As a matter of fact, in the states where they have given the guns to as many people as possible, gun violence has skyrocketed deaths by guns have skyrocketed. The places where they made it so simple and easy for Republicans and the mentally compromised to get as many guns as possible, gun slaughters happen all the time. So when the Republicans tell you, guns everywhere, guns everywhere, arm everybody, what they're really saying is this. That way, when you're shot, which you will be eventually if we have their way, that someone is going to be upset because I got a medium-sized latte instead of the grande latte. I have had it, and starts firing off rounds, because that's what happens. And if you're shot, hopefully it's not a one and done. You're not dead immediately from a headshot or a heart shot. So that if you do get shot a few times, maybe you're going to be lucky enough before you pass out from blood loss and shock to be able to pull your gun and kill the other guy too. See, problem solved. That's the Republicans' best case scenario. I want to repeat, that's the Republicans' best case scenario with this guns everywhere, because guns everywhere doesn't stop people from shooting. It doesn't. It just leads to a lot more guns, a lot higher profits for the gun companies and the bullet manufacturers, and a false sense of security, which has never meant to keep you secure. It's only meant to sell more guns. That's it. Their best case world is that you are shot 4 times, but before you die, you can manage to get one shot off and take out the shooter. What a brave individual. That really sounds like a really crappy way to go out, you know? And that if you then don't do it, will they be there sitting there saying, well, he had a gun. Why didn't, after he getting shot 4 times, did he not get his gun out and defend himself? I can tell you what I would have done. They could have shot me like that bad guy in the Die Hard movies 15, 16 times, and I kept coming back like I'm a zombie. Guns don't keep you safe. They don't. And the vast majority of people that are carrying a gun are not carrying a gun because it keeps them safe. It gives them the feeling that at the end of the day, they can win any debate because they can, I'll show you, as they fan fiction over Yellowstone. This is the problem with America. It's not, we don't have enough guns. It's we've got way too many guns and we have way too easy access to them. And until you fix those 2 problems, we're going to continue to have our daily gun slaughters in America to the applause and joy of Republicans across the country. Native Roots Radio up in the 6. We're back on tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Hey, Twin Cities, are you trying to move your side hustle to your main